Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 358, and today we're going to be doing battle with the Sun Disk. And so, the Ascended Champions package, the Renekton, Nasus, and Azirs of the world, hadn't really had much success with the rotation and the incoming glory from Navori set. The loss of Zerath kind of left them in a place to where the deck just wasn't very strong. And so Riot did come in, give them a little bit of love, and that's what we're looking to investigate in this video. And so we won't be playing Azir. Azir is now a little bit easier to level up. He requires one less summon to get that level up. Not going to be playing him, but we do have the inclusion of Nasus. Nasus is now a 3-3. May not appear so in the image, but I assure you he is a 3-3 now. And then the one that's mainly interesting to me is going to be the inclusion of Glory's Call. And so we talked quite a bit earlier on in the season about spells moving from 3 mana up to 4. That tends to be the real death knell for spells, given that it's so easy to play a spell just based off of 3 spell mana. But once you have to start incorporating those real mana crystals into the spell, it becomes much more painful to include that spell into the deck. And it's typically been a nerf that killed cards out of the game. The only ones that have really survived that kind of nerf have been Deny and Relentless Pursuit, and so it's just been a real pain point if your spell moved up to 4 mana. But what I'm kind of interested in seeing with Glory's Call is the effect that dropping this down to 3 is going to have. And so we're just going to assume that the Glory's Call costs either 1 or 3 mana. If you're not familiar with it, not surprised it hasn't seen any competitive play up to this point, but it costs 2 less for each different Ascended ally you've played this game, and then it lets you manifest a card out of the Emperor's deck. And so ideally with something like this, now that it costs 5 mana, we play 1 Ascended Champion, it should only cost 3. When it used to cost 6, it was much more challenging, right? It would have been, we played 1 Ascended Champion, now we have this 4 mana spell that's still a real pain point to play. And so I'm really interested in seeing how this one turns out, really filling in that space as a closer, if you will, or if it just turns out to be a very nice value card. I'm really interested in seeing how we really feel about the Glory's Call at the end of the day. After that, the main thing we're going to have to talk about here is we are really interested in coming in and flipping the Sun Disk. I don't want this to just be some kind of Shurima Allegiance deck that doesn't actually get to pop off the movie and get the champions out here flipping. And so we are playing Renekton Nasus, looking to really focus in on the strikes. And so we have a handful of ways to come in and deliver the vulnerables to the opposing units. We've got the full set of Rockhoppers along with Exhaust and Ruthless Predator to dish it out as we see fit. And then we're also playing a copy of Curse of the Tomb to ideally help us flip one of these champions in a single strike. And so if we say play Golden Ambassador, that draws one of our champions. Doesn't really matter if it's Renekton or Nasus. Then if they get to attack and deal a double damage strike, that's going to flip the champion and then help level up the Sun Disk and move on from there. Now, the thing I will say about our selection of cards here is you typically don't play such a wide variety of spells, right? You typically say, okay, this is the best card in the format. I'm going to play 3 of it. This is the next best card in the format. I'm going to play 3 of it. This is the next best card, and you go on down, right? You are heavily incentivized to just play good cards, right? You want to play good cards, and you don't want to play bad cards. It's a very familiar concept if you've ever done any deck building in the games. Just don't play the bad cards, right? But as we have a lot of predicts in this deck, we have the Scrying Sands, the Curse of the Tomb, the Ancient Preparations. I feel kind of okay moving out into this space to where we're playing a wide variety of spells, since we'll be able to kind of pick and choose these spells and ideally pick them up at the appropriate time. But the big thing to say with our spell selection is they are, for the most part, all pretty combat-oriented, right? We have Exhaust, Scrying Sand, Ruthless Predator, Curse of the Tomb, Quicksand. All of these are cards that help our Renekton and our Nasus win the combats, help them get flipped, and then in turn help level up our Sun Disk. And so that's the deck. That's what we do in battle with today. Let's jump on in, see if we can't unlock a victory or two. So unfortunately, in that last video, we didn't roll into Masters with our Pantheon Samira deck. I kind of ran out of time as far as the games were concerned, but we did jump in shortly after that and just grind out some games, hit that Masters space. All right, though. Off to the action. Doing battle against Nora Nar Annie. I would assume that this is the Lord Broadmane control deck, and so we do have to worry a little bit about what they're able to bring forth because they do have. They do have Scorched Earth, and Scorched Earth could just blow up a landmark. They can easily just take down our buried Sun Disk, and so I don't want to entirely count on the Sun Disk plan, but we should have a bit of time in terms of actually getting some of these big champions on the board and getting them to flip. All right, so let's just go ahead. Uh-oh. I was going to say, let's crash on into battle, and he just immediately hit a portal. I think that's okay. We'll try and take down the unit with our Rockhopper and leave the better combat behind. This is what I was slightly worried about as a card like Pytos coming in, but at the end of the day, this isn't too important. I'm not super worried about winning these combats early. So we'll see how opponent handles this upcoming turn. There's a couple ways to think about this in the sense that we want to get Renekton down, but we don't want him to just get blown up by whatever removal suite. We don't want him to get disintegrated. We don't want him to get Scorched Earth. But now that we've come in and picked up the Ancient Hourglass, I don't feel like we need to play this slow with the Rite of Negation. And so this is fine. We're going to lose out on the Sun Disk. At the end of the day, it kind of sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Move on to the next turn. We can still look to get good hooks with Renekton into these other units, see what pops off. But play our spell. Anything cool in here? The General's Palace is quite good. At the round start, you get the Rally. That's the one I'm leaning towards now, giving all the opposing units vulnerable is strong as well. I think that's where I'm wanting to go. We do have a high-powered option in the Eternal Gladiator, but I feel like as we already have Nasus in hand, it's not nearly as much of a concern for us. Now we get to give everything vulnerable. Hopefully we can put forth some strong combats. Our Clockling ready to do battle up against the Noras of the world. All right, rip Renekton. But we do at least get the combat into Nora. Sure. How much portals does he have left? Just the one. All right, time to come in and start rallying, am I right? It's just like having Garen on the board, man. It feels good. It feels good. All right, dude's really popped off with the portals, though. So we do have to, make a decision with this turn and how much mana we want to spend. Like, taking all this damage is fine. I still don't think we're going to get burned out here, but we're in this really awkward spot in terms of our mana. Given that we want to play Nasus, we want to play Renekton, but we don't have the tools to protect them until next turn. And so I think we can just run out Renekton. We have to do something, right? But we can still look to potentially Scrying Sands one of these units. Oh my gosh, he's got another Disintegrate kind of card. Let's just pass. Now we can be a little bit safer having our Ancient Hourglasses and such. All right, Pirouette comes in. It's manageable. We can soak up the stun and then still try and attack with Nasus here. They have to worry about him getting killed a little bit, but we need something to go right. And so let's just go ahead and send in the attack. See if he's got a follow-up spell to try and take down the big dog.
We are all seeking an end to war, friends.
I'll protect you, Renekton. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I'm curious why he would go after the Renekton in place of the Nasus. Just because he has more stats, or does he just already have the Scorched Earth to try and take down Nasus? I guess Nasus isn't that scary when he... Oh shit, the Broadmane just got the kill. Okay, I was gonna say the dude's not that scary at this point, but oh man, and Renekton comes in stunned. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. I think we're just dead. I assumed we were gonna have a blocker here. All right, but that's a tough match. As you're trying to go tall with the likes of Renekton or Nasus, and then running into the go tall killers in the disintegrate package. That's definitely going to be a struggle. I'm curious how that would play out if we had managed to have the turn 2 Soothsayer, turn 3 Soothsayer, just a way to protect the Sun Disk. Our Sun Disk wasn't really threatening a flip, but it was kind of close. Oh, I meant to get the deck tracker back up. We'll try to get that up after this game. Deck tracker gets so confused when you when you switch between accounts. All right, but this one I don't think there's any real need to hurry with the Soothsayer. We can just come in with our combat-oriented units like the Rockhopper, get in front of this stuff, try and stall out the game a little bit. Absolutely blocking. More than happy to try and trade away our 1 health units. This is they got both the group shots and the other 1 mana ping in here, and so it's nice to come in and just remove that, remove the unit when our unit's vulnerable in combat or vulnerable to the spells. All right, dude gets barrier. Not that big of a deal. It's kind of nice to have these vulnerable units just hanging out as we're going to try and play Renekton and get some strikes in on these upcoming turns. Always good to just have that extra bonus. That extra bonus vulnerable out there. Not used to seeing the Saboteur come in, but I guess he is playing the Noxus version. And then I think we're okay to just leave this mana banked up. I mean, maybe we need to drop the Soothsayer. I guess at the end of the day, this opponent shouldn't be playing cards like Disintegrate. So maybe it'll be safe. I was hoping to put the Spell Shield onto Renekton, but that's going to be like a million turns from now.
You cannot hide forever, Nasus.
All right, Renekton, let's get him.
Face your end.
Watch me.
You over there.
Why not just bring it all? I was wanting to play this kind of slow. Like the thing you run into against these decks is opponents going to be able to refill their board very easily to where we can't. It takes us quite a bit of work to get these units on board. It's kind of thinking, well, if we take this slow, then we should be able to just have a full board and not have to worry about the opposing attacks. And even though we aren't taking units down in combat, we should be taking them down because opponent just doesn't have the space. They either don't play a unit or they have to override a unit. So, thought it might have been worth just waiting, but it's not quite coming together. So are we okay to take all this damage from Tristana? She's going to come in for 10. I'm looking at this board and saying, like, well, what if we exhaust the Bandle Gunners and then Castigate? But the Spell Shield strike me as being too good on this turn. Let's just play Merciless Hunter. We'll go ahead, put the Vulnerable onto Tristana. And then we can prevent a lot of this damage just using the Ancient Hourglass. But would we rather go ahead and get one of these Renekton strikes in? I think we do. Because he's going to flip off of this, right?
You are not welcome.
Some help, please?
Quit struggling.
So much damage coming in.
Dead meat.
Doesn't feel like it should be that much. That's crazy. So we're currently at neg 12. How bad is this if we get hit with a Might? We're basically we're just dead, right?
Quit struggling.
We're not going to have a way around this. So let's move the Soothsayer over on this guy.
I get violent when I'm bored.
I think that looks a little better. So now if he mites, we don't take as much, or if he mites the Tristana, we can look to Ancient Hourglass the Soothsayer. Well, didn't die. That was pretty cool, right? I just worry on this next turn, though, that we don't have enough damage with the Renekton to get a kill. Like, we're nowhere near flipping the Sun Disc.
Sun's beneath me and winds behind me.
Rip. Not yet, my friend. Not yet. Okay, so what can we do here? Glory's Call. All right, I'm sure this is going to draw something awesome. What are these cards? Obliterate a follower. Not quite what we're looking for. Sandstorm's kind of interesting. Obliterate 3 enemy units or landmarks, so you can hit champions with this. But it's going to be a matter of if we're able to actually cast it. So if he open attacks on us, it's just not going to work. And I think we take it, though, because we're not going to be casting any of this other stuff, right? We don't have the time to play the General's Palace. We could look to the Crumbling Sands, but like the units we want to target with the Sands are going to be like the Bandle Gunners and Tristana, and that's not going to hit either of them. And so let's pick this dumb spell, I guess. I guess that's one way to look at it. You have to try and take down Tristana now. Alright. Do the work, Renekton. Uh-oh. A Nox and Fervor. So we drop him to 5. Okay. I mean, we might be okay here. I'm really curious. Seeing the Bandle City Mayor come down is kind of scary, because he's probably got a follow-up unit, and then he's probably just going to open attack, but we're so close if he doesn't open. Oh, God damn it.
Not even I know what I'm cooking up.
So close, dumb spells. So close. Just draw a turd.
Come on, where's the competition?
Alright, are we dead? Can't play our exhaust or anything. Alright. Come on, Sun Disc. you're never going to get us there. Alright, next battle. Get down to that zero LP home. Let's see if we can't get into the meme zone and find a win. You wanna hang out, kitty? Playing with dogs today. Oh. There we go. Got these kitties ready to hang out. She's not happy. Not happy with the way I picked her up. But all right, up against the dumbest deck in the world, playing against the Lurk. Let's see what we can do. So we're just going to want to keep our cheap plays here. I think this whole hand is actually fine to hang on to. We unfortunately don't have 1-drops in the deck to just throw down in front of whatever their turn 1 play is. But, ooh, no play from opponent. I like seeing that. What do we got here? Really just looking for our champions. I think we're going to let all these cards go. They don't really add anything to the mix. Now we can drop the Rockhopper. Again, just try and keep him from attacking.
Buys me a new sail. You got caught.
See, this is ultimately my main problem with this deck, right? It's cards like the Snapjaw Swarm. How over is this game if he attacks and misses the Lurk, right? He's just out here flipping the coins. He says, oh boy, I'm so excited to flip a coin today. And look, I hit the coin flip, so I probably win the game. And if I lose the coin flip, then I probably lose the game. Like, it's so fucking dumb.
If it's made of sand,
But we'll continue on. Got a nice blocker for the guy here.
I will run you over.
So dumb. Alright, Hierophant should be fine here. He's only going to have the mana to probably add 1 unit to the board. If it's a small unit, we can kill it with the Clockling. If it's a more value-esque kind of play, we can look to take it down with the Hierophant. And just want to keep their board empty. Not bad, not bad. Pretty big overbank from him here. He's got to have a handful of like pikes and stuff. Well, that's a pike for certain. I think I'm going to lead off with this Rockhopper. He probably doesn't have any more cards here, but we can definitely follow up and just hit pike with the Merciless Hunter.
Arda's gonna make a meal of 'em.
Right, combat time.
You over there.
Should be safe enough to just send in the Rockhopper again. This deck doesn't usually play combat tricks, so it does have ways to deal points of damage, but it's the 5 mana slow spell, so you don't have to worry about it nearly as much. And oh, good job, my dude. Just hitting them twice blind. That's pretty cool, I guess. Pretty cool.
Worries fall from us like water.
And we got this nice Castigate in hand, ready to kill off all of our own units. I'm pretty excited about that one. Why does he death from below our 1/4? Okay. I like to think that there's important units in the deck like Fearsomes, and you would probably want to take down the larger unit given the option, but what do I know? Alright, let's try and take this pike down. We don't have anything else to do, so you can run into these spots to where if the Siphoning Strike fails, then you probably just lose the game, because it's such an expensive investment in the board, but just the amount of interaction I expect out of them is so low that I think it's probably pretty safe.
They wouldn't. A little respect.
Let's see what we hit. Anything cool in here? Summon an exact copy of an ally. It's ephemeral and draw 1. Is that really as good as it gets today? Or do we want to play the Sandstorm? I'm leaning towards the Sandstorm. Just it should give us a way to take down a Rek'Sai.
This one's a fighter.
All right, let's still make the block. I think if we preventing the damage isn't that big of a deal, but now we can at least attack. Big boy Renekton turning up.
Wrap 'em up tight.
We can play him, right? If he decides to come in and block with the Doombreaker, he's just going to get lethal. Does give him the chance to play a follow-up unit, though, but I think if we maybe go into next turn, get the chance to Sandstorm. Alright, let's just wait and see. I think it's safe enough. Like, he still has to worry about things like like an Exhaust or a Ruthless Predator coming in and just killing him. So it might be okay. We're just kind of hoping that he's in the spot to where he's going to come in and try and drop Rek'Sai next turn. And then if he doesn't open, we get the chance to Sandstorm. Of course, the Ruthless Predator comes in now. Oh, this is going to be... Oh my god. Gotta be kidding me. You do understand what just happened there, right? Was that he just naturally hit a Rek'Sai for the lethal? Fucking absurd. Fucking absurd. Right? He didn't play any cards that turn. right? So you make your predict on the previous turn. You draw your card, so you just don't know what's on top of your deck. The only card that gets him out of that spot is hitting Rek'Sai on top of the deck. Ah, boy. Maybe that works, right? I'm not entirely certain how that works. If you call the pack, predict shuffles your deck, right? I don't remember. I don't remember if that's how predict works. If predict doesn't shuffle, it does. It does. Oh, but that was fun, right? You hit the Snapjaw Swarm on turn 2. Naturally. You played one a few turns later. No predict, hit it. It's just I don't know. I don't know, man. Whatever, I guess. That's what more can you realistically say than whatever, I guess. All right, let's focus in and try and get back into this one. I think we need to look for some cheaper plays in this. It's tempting to just hang on to this Renekton package, but we're not going to be able to use him until turn 5. Like, maybe hanging on to Golden Ambassador is okay, but it doesn't seem good to just sit on 4 drops. Much better with the Rockhopper and the Hierophant.
The box
All right.
bestows for a price.
I am ready to combat you, my friend. I'm ready for it. I think this is okay. Just getting the trade. Oh, cool. He doesn't come in. So now we'll have the opportunity to exhaust this thing away.
To remember me.
We're not sitting on Renekton, so I think it's pretty safe to just start chipping away at the board. Try and get this nice board full of Rockhoppers and Hierophants so that we can knock them all away with a Castigate. This card has not been good in our deck today.
Coming through.
All right, but let's put the lifesteal unit over to the left. Make sure he doesn't get any healing out of it. Get a nice board clear here. Stuff. Does suck to lose our Roiling Sands onto the Dark Enthrall, but worse things have happened. What you got for us, my dude? Gonna load it up and put some Darkened Bloodletters on that guy? Thinking on it hard. It says, do I want to watch the Sundisk movie today? Not so much. Not so much. Might as well just concede.
I seek a weapon worthy of Naga Keburos.
All right, still looking decent.
Mortality is madness.
Big old strike coming through. And so, I mean, it is a reasonable enough block onto the Dragonling with our 3/3 if we're just going to come in and hook down his 4/3 again next turn. Right? If he's gonna spend combat tricks here, I think I'm pretty okay with that. Sure thing, boss. So what do we got? More Soothsayers?
Gonna catch the sky.
See if he comes in for another block. Would make sense, right? But I'm curious if he's run into one of these hands to where you just have like 4 equipment and a combat trick, and you don't have any targets for your cards. It's not incredibly rare to happen to the Aatrox Cane. Cane comes in. Don't currently have any ways to strike him down, but the more worrisome moment here is him just dropping Aatrox next turn. Need a champion real bad. You are not a champion, Merciless Hunter. I did the mathematics on that one, and it works out. Works out.
Serve me, Rost. Be still.
All right, so we're just got to be stuck playing these units, right? At least in this spot, we can we can play the Merciless Hunter and then try and Siphoning Strike down Kayn. So it should work, especially if he drops Aatrox on this turn. If he has a strike or if he has the second Kayn in his hand, we're gonna be hurting a little. That's just the strike. It's not the. That's too bad. If he was coming at us with the second Kayn, right, to the quick attacks and kind of cataclysms him onto the board, and we got the kill with the Merciless Hunter, would be pretty choice. But yeah. All right. Oh my gosh, I didn't hit the concede button fast enough. These games have been brutal. I'm trying to think. We played some deck to a 1-7 the other day, and it was bad. It was a bad deck. I don't remember what it was. It was just terrible. It feels like this is just worse than that one. It doesn't feel like these games are even remotely competitive. Oh my gosh, you got to play Lurk again. Is this the same guy? I think it's the same guy. All right, we gotta try and find a cheap play here. This is a disaster. It's about right, given the way the games have gone today, but this is a disaster. And I guess we can play the turn 4 Castigate, but we gotta find a play. You're not really wanting to Castigate the Sun Disc on turn 4, turn 5. You oh boy, you just hit Rek'Sai. You're wanting to hit them when they have a bigger board. What a joke. What a joke. All right. So those for those of you keeping track at home, that's been opponent's his fourth hit without knowing what's on top. Now he gets to put Rek'Sai back on top. Okay, good job. All right, on to the next one. I don't know. I refer to that as the lottery ticket deck. I really assume the only people that enjoy playing that are the people that really enjoy playing scratch-off lottery tickets. And y'all are probably tired of hearing it at this point, but if you're this guy to where you're coming down and you're hitting 4 of your lurks without predicting, I can't decide if that means that you should go and if you should go and just start purchasing lottery tickets because today's your day, or if you wasted all your luck on games trying to push into Masters with one of the dumbest decks in the world. It's tough for me to tell. It's tough for me to decide. Maybe our previous opponent knows better than we do in terms of how to really pop off with that. But our hand looked reasonable enough. We just needed to find a champion. We predicted into Renekton. He's going to be ready to battle in short order. All right. The boosted Bakai. Got a lot to think about here. Let's let the salt flow out, right? You got to think real hard about what we're going to do on our turn here with 0 mana. It's tough. It's tough. Big decision being made right now. Do nothing with 0 mana. Got it. Got it. All right, so we'll take our 2 bank. I don't think we want to Merciless Hunter, but I mean, maybe we do. If it gives us the option to take this unit off of the board. And then if he does come in with an equipment now, right, he did play cards under the Forsaken Bakai, so I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he's got big equipments in hand. Gives us a way to get out of it. But do we want to come in and try and challenge down this Vayne now? And I think it's fair. We want to use our bigger unit, though. He's got 2 mana back, so if he's going to have the +2/+2 card, I don't want to just be hooking Vayne with the Clockling and then having that be successful. Thinking on it hard. You're going to have the cross single combat, have the Bakai take down the Merciless Hunter. We each get to keep a unit. Nope. All right. Renekton's ready to go. We wasted all of his we wasted all of his challenger abilities, but he's ready to come in and do big things. Look at that Nasus though. He's for real getting ready to do big things. So I think we can just open here. It's starting to get to this scary space to where we don't have any mana built up and we can't really do anything. And I'd like to be in a spot to where we bank into this quicksand. And so I'm just going to play the Ancient Prep, see what we predict into. Siphoning Strike seems okay. I mean, we've got the big Nasus and the Renekton in hand. And then maybe we'll use it 2 turns from now. But we need to just get some of this mana stored up for the moment. That's fine.
Oh, proud city.
The cycle begins anew.
I don't think there should be anything too crazy here in terms of Kayn being able to take down the Nasus. If he does start spewing off a bunch of cards again, we got the quicksand to try and prevent it. But I think Nasus will probably be safe here. Cataclysm would be annoying. That's a factual statement right there. So let's see. Do we want to just go? Do we want to go big? It is pretty bad if we try to drop the Siphoning Strike and then he's got the trick. He's got the barrier. But that's the only one to really worry about here. It's not even the end of the world if this doesn't happen. But let's see if we can't get Nasus up to 10-10 and start attacking. Oh, he's going ham, huh? Alright, let's pop that shield. Why did he play the +2/+2 thing first? That's interesting. Okay. Well, you got a strike in. That counts for something, right? Counts for something. So is it ever worth attacking with the Nasus, right? I just worry that we're actually able to like start surviving after this. Maybe we can. Just the Harpy's a real pain point to deal with, but kinda needs to open attack, and then I'm not entirely opposed to just playing Castigate. I don't think Castigate works with this thing, right? It would blow up the equipment, but it wouldn't kill the Harpy. Alright, fish fight rolls through. That's not a huge deal. Still not enough to shut down our Nasus. Now, do we want to play Renekton? Renekton's a little scary in the sense that Kayn can just kill him. I'm leaning towards just dropping Glory's Call and seeing what happens, being a little less efficient with the mana. Eternal Gladiator looks good, right? Obliterating a follower is not terrible. Man, look how big this guy is, though. It's got to be the answer, right?
Azir speaks and I act.
Like, your turn sucks now. He does get to add Kayn, but Kayn's pretty weak here. He's only got 2 cards in hand. I don't think there's a ton we have to worry about. Okay, now he's down to 1 potentially relevant card.
They will fear my name.
Goes elusive. You don't see that too often.
Embrace the shadows.
Don't see that too often. Oh, and he just made Kayn his strongest unit, so he's gonna fight the gladiator at the end of the turn. Is he just gonna kill us with this shit? I don't think so. I don't think so, but man, this is getting it's getting scary. Now, dude fights. Nasus is ready. It's tough. It's like it's very tempting to start wanting to drop castigates here, but I just don't think that's the answer. Need to get a couple of kills before Nasus strikes to try and get him up to 10 power, but that seems like pretty far off the table.
A day of glory.
Interesting. So close, my friend. So he does that for the scout. Interesting. All right. All right. It took some work, but victory unlocked. We got one. We got one. No zero winners for us today. Give me that LP back. Dang. This is rough. Just 2 more to go. We never have to play this deck ever again. Oh, man. All right. This is the kind of space where I think our deck should be okay, right? Going up against just a real unit-heavy, mid-rangey kind of deck like Udyr. And so, we'll see. I mean, nothing has gone well in any of these games, and so you're welcome to just go ahead and tell me how wrong I am, but it seems like the kind of space we should be okay. Looking for champions now. I really want Renekton, and so we'll let all of these go. All right, Broadwing in. I'm ready to combat. And Castigate comes back. it's just trying to sneak its way in. It's trying to find a way to get cast. I don't know, man. I feel like you're just our mulligan to 5. You're never you're never gonna see play. All right, well, we need to go ahead and deposit a little bit of damage onto this Broadwing, or it's gonna wreak havoc on our board. So if he wants to come back in and hook down the Merciless Hunter, it's okay. You can look to, just quicksand it and take the Formidable off of it, but I think that it's kind of to our advantage here in this early game to, well, now that he's got that thing on it, I'm a little less excited about just running the unit in.
We'll get our licks in.
Udyr. So it's a little scary to try and send a siphoning strike at Udyr. It just, if it's one of these spots to where if it fails, we're really gonna struggle. But we're not in like super danger at the moment. Castigate's looking better and better against this Broadwing. Just unfortunately kills all of our own units in the process. So are we actually going to cast it? I mean, I'm leaning towards it. I could just see us just throwing our unit away in front of Udyr, playing Nasus, and then next turn we'll play the Castigate, try and clear some of this board out. Shouldn't be too scary. If opponent has a strike, we can try and quicksand through it. Don't want to lose our big dog right now.
Ironborn!
Sure. All right, we get that. We get all the champions on board. things are turning around, huh? Things are turning around. I definitely want to put some spell shields onto them if we get the chance. The opponent, I didn't play a ton of Galio Udyr, so I'm not familiar with all of the spells within it. I know that when we play our Udyr decks, we do really like to have all of the. We play both Three Sisters and we play the. What's your name? We play the big removal spell with the Cultist Frostbite. There we go. But I think this is a safe pass. If we go into the next turn and we get the opportunity to play Castigate, we can really pop off with it. If he wants to come in and open attack, the only unit we're really worried about here is going to be the Petricite Broadwing, and we can quicksand it. And so I think this is going to be safe, and I think we're finally going to get this this big Castigate that everyone's been hoping and dreaming for. All right. LOL, your keywords go away. Let's get some blocks in. I guess it should be safe with Nasus. Like even if he has a, like a Three Sisters or something, Nasus should come in and survive it. So get the big shutdown there. That feels good. Now let's drop our Siphoning Strike here. We can get our Renekton to flip for the round. It's tempting to try and spike Udyr, but I don't think that's where we want to be. We probably want to just be taking down this Broadwing, right? But the kind of the bonus to having the Broadwing still on the board is it's got the Anaka behind it. So if we remove it, he gets to get the big unit in. But I think this is still okay. I mean, we do have that Castigate in our hand to where if he plays Anaka, then we should be able to just Castigate it away. But yeah, the pop onto Udyr feels ultimately pretty dangerous. And if we do go after things like the Broadwing, it lets us still get around cards like Shield of Durandi. Are we gonna watch that movie? Oh man, if we Castigate and Nasus flips, and then we get to attack. That's it. That's the angle. Oh my gosh, we're gonna get to do it. Everything's finally gonna come together here in Game 7, right? Oh man, it's like the NBA Finals, Game 7. The excitement is abound. The excitement is here. I can't wait. I can't wait. This is gonna be sweet. Finally, the Castigate gets to be used. Alright. Get hype. That's the stuff right there, isn't it? Kill all those dudes, get that Nasus ready to flip. That's what it's all about. Ready to see the movie. Give me that Sundisk movie, please.
This too shall end. No surrender.
All right, there it goes. Get your popcorn. Come back. So excited. So excited. I'm gonna be quiet for a little bit.
Eternity stretched out before me. Golden and gleaming.
there you have it. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. All right. Took 7 games to get there, man, but we did it. We did it. Whew. Look at that. Look how big these units are, man. Giant Nasus, giant Renekton. Oh, man. Opponent saying, what did I do to deserve this? What did I do? What a weak Anaka. Got him. Got him. And that's where we got to end it. That's the high note that we have to stop it on. I can't bring myself to queue up with this deck again and have to play against Lurk and have it. I feel so good after that one and getting to pop off the Sun Disk. That's just the appropriate place to stop. And so we could pull this up and talk about it a little bit more. And so it's tough. This deck was terrible. I've seen a lot of the different flavors that people are talking about with this deck, and they all strike me as just being really bad. It just doesn't have the tools that it needs. This is one of the things that we used to run into in Expedition a lot, as to where there were some kind of like interesting decks that you could put together using, say, like Rock Hoppers as the core, and then playing into the exhaust themes, and then starting to use things like Waste Walker. And so you could develop these really interesting curves to where you play the Rock Hopper on 2, and then the Waste Walker on 3, and then Renekton on turn 4, and your opponent is really hindered by the exhausts coming in. But the decks just never really came together, and it never really worked. And even when it did work, it wasn't that good. And that's what it kind of feels like with this one, is that, you know, it is nice having this big, like, combat oriented interactivity package with the Rock Hoppers and the Renektons and all of the various strikes, and Esteemed Hierophant being a little bit bigger than the opposing units. But the units are just so bad that it doesn't really feel worth it, right? If you go up against, you know, a blocking Badger Bear, it just ruins your entire day because your units aren't even big enough to get into combat with it. And so it ultimately it sounds really good, and when you start to say all the words, they sound like that they should really work nicely, but it just never really comes together in the end. Your cards are just like a touch too weak. It's like Renekton needs to be like a 5/5, and Rock Hopper needs to be like a 3/2, and your stats are just too small. And so at the end of the day, I don't think that this is the real way to go about it, because the combats are just so bad. And that gets me to kind of think back towards the Azir Zerath Sundisk decks, and they weren't good, right? Those decks hovered around like 48 to 52% win rate. Some of the, you know, you're in kind of like a bind when the best in the world, the people at the absolute top of the ladder, they should be taking these decks to like 65 and 70% win rates. And if they're only able to take it up to a 60, then that's a pretty bad sign. And the thing with the old version of the Sundisk with the Azir and the Zerath is it was kind of like the end boss in terms of late game plays. And so if you were playing with the old version of the Sundisk against something that was like, say, a Nora Vagar or something, right? One of those really kind of slow, grindy style decks, you tended to just beat all of those. But if you had to play against the aggro end of the spectrum, you weren't that good. And then if you were playing against the mid-rangey decks, it was kind of a coin flip as to how the things would come about. But you were definitely kind of the end boss in terms of the slower matches and the control decks, because the Sundisk is just literally the most powerful thing you can do. But this deck doesn't even have that edge, right? It's like it's really trying to be like a combat-oriented early game deck, but then also be the late game grind fest with the Sundisk, and it doesn't really pan out. And so ultimately, not super happy with these ideas. But at the end of the day, I could see this deck, you know, kind of morphing into being something decent. I was actually quite happy with the Glorious Call. I felt like that it played in here quite nicely. All of the cards that we had access to hit were quite good, and seeing the things in there like the 5-mana landmark that gives everything vulnerable and lets you rally every turn, that is like such a high powered play to be able to kind of complement this early game combat stuff with. And so I could definitely see a world to where you just like forego the Sundisk, and then you look to really just play Glorious Call to be a really nice mid to late game play. and then just assume that you're never going to flip the Sun Disk and really focus in on your combats and the like. And so it is like a very viable and reasonable spell at 3 mana. So if you play the 1 champion, it costs 3. And then I was pretty excited about getting to play it for 1. Like, it's exceptionally good at 1 mana, but the games didn't really lend themselves to that. But it does make me start to like stop and think, if you want to say play like Action Renekton, and then just have that really strong early game combat oriented kind of thing. And then your late game is just Glory's Call. And you just assume that you're going to be playing it for 3 mana because you have Renekton in your deck. And that strikes me as being in a very interesting space, because we aren't trying to really half-ass our deck anymore, right? We aren't trying to say, I have all this good early game, this good mid game, but I'm also trying to play the late game shit in the Sun Disk. You're able to say, okay, I'm just going to focus on the early and the mid game, and then this cycling kind of invoke-esque kind of card is going to be our late game play out of the deck, and I think that's kind of interesting. Ooh, but nonetheless, good stuff. I had fun with that one. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way. You had a good time watching. This is Bustin' Me. Thank you for being here.